we're now going to move on to our Positivity Promenade, which this week focuses on the University of Bristol. So I've written an article in the most recent edition, which is coming out on Monday, so do be sure to check that out, talking about the QS subject rankings, which we talked about briefly last week, and also Times Higher Education released a new World League table. It came just under the London universities and considerably above Durham, St Andrews and Exeter and Bath and all the usuals. So sitting at the top of our little group. So yeah, and I was talked in the article about Bristol and Bristol University and how it's got a very rich history and it's doing very well in the league tables. So as I mentioned in my article, in the subjects you can take here are genuinely world class. A lot of them are in the top 50 in the world. Some of them are in the top 20 in the world. But away from just that, we've got some fabulous architecture. Like, as I go around other universities, particularly campus universities that were founded around the 1960s, I sort of learn and appreciate Bristol's architecture and its history a lot more, because a lot of these campuses, like the University of Warwick, for example, or the University of Exeter, both of them are really great research institutions. Russell Group, like up there with the best universities in the UK with us. However, their history and the richness in their campuses is just, it's not there. Whereas we have Victoria Rooms, which was built in 1842. We've got the former Theological College on Woodland Road, which is now home to the Philosophy Department. That was built as early as the 15th century, so we're talking 1400s there. The Fry Building, bits that went up in flames they're 16th century. And obviously the Wilson Memorial was built in 1925, but it is sort of regarded as the last great Gothic building to be constructed in the UK. So,
in all honesty, I mean, Bristol is an outstanding university. I mean, that's why we all chose to come here. It offers so many positives that often don't get told. I mean, other universities, there's not a lot to do. I mean, there's some of them, it's just drinking culture. But if you come here, you've got a drama scene, you've got a music scene, and it's not just musicians coming here or drama performing here. It's a case of actually being created here. And this is a city of culture. It's also a brilliant city for being green. And the university is excellent on that. And we talked about their energy use and how all the energy the university takes is from wind energy. That's brilliant.
The history around Bristol University and the architecture around it. And in terms of just how it was founded, a former principal of Clifton College, John Percival, he teamed up with a former master of Balliol College, Oxford, to create University College Bristol from the former Merchant Ventures College. In 1875, Percival and the former principal of Balliol decided to get together and create this new sort of seat of learning in the West, and that's how we were formed. We then became the University of Bristol when Edward VII granted our decree in 1909, and ever since then we've sort of grown and become more and more of a university that sort of sprawls across the city, and we've got some of the most gorgeous architecture. And I feel like the inspiration you get from learning in an environment like that, with the history that it has and the reputation it has, and just the great graduates that Bristol's created, and it's a really great university. The only thing that stops Bristol from consistently scoring in the top 6 in the UK, really, and the top 50 in the world, is student satisfaction. Whilst on the fringes that looks quite bad, it's actually better than it immediately looks. So it's really like a three-dimensional story, and a lot of the courses you can do here are genuinely world class. Ed, you wrote an article last year about Bristol being an Oxford reject university. Do you think that the fact that it's a genuinely good university aids that idea?
Yeah, I think whenever we refer to Bristol as the Oxford Reject Uni, it's all a bit jokey. It's all a bit self-deprecating, just for the sake of the band. With any of the Oxford Reject Unis, there is a reason that the people who didn't make it into Oxbridge came to these unis, because they're still very, very good and still very world class. So yeah, the reputation of the Oxford Reject Uni is just testament to how good the universities actually are, I'd say.
This is Burst Radio.